it looking like a big day for Jalen Hurts. And I know sometimes people get nuts with this and go over the top again. What are you doing, man? We're talking about the stats. Regardless, he had a big day today. He went 14 for 25 touchdowns, no interceptions, and was good with a lot of deep balls. Apparently, had some nice touch on some deep throws. So. All right, so today at Eagles practice, again, it's really technically, I guess, the last training camp practice, but whatever. They leave tomorrow to go to Cleveland for the joint practices, which will be Thursday, Friday, walk through Saturday, game Sunday. So Torrey Smith of the Super Bowl team from 2017 had a huge playoff and Super Bowl for the team. Wasn't necessarily great in the regular season, but anyway, good dude, by the way.
Yep.
At practice today, I saw Darren Sproles over sort of counseling and working with some of the return men. I can only pray that some of his influence rubs off on these guys. But I'm afraid that takes skill also. But can't hurt, right? That's the way I look at it. Can't hurt.
Right. Take all you can.
I'm telling you, man, you got a Pro Bowl caliber special teams guy in your practice. If I'm smart, I'm absorbing every bit of knowledge he can give me.
Yeah, and he's around the team. He's been around the team quite a bit, last year too. So this is not anything new with Darren, kind of coaching these guys up a little bit. Again, you can only lead a horse to water, man. So, we'll see what ends up happening there.
It didn't help with Donnell Pumphrey, so.
I know. Wow. There was no water drank there. He was led to it, but it didn't happen. So, yeah, so that's some of the news. Now, it looking like a big day for Jalen Hurts. And I know sometimes people get nuts with this and go over the top again. What are you doing, man? We're talking about the stats. Regardless, he had a big day today. He went 14 for 25 touchdowns, no interceptions, and was good with a lot of deep balls. Apparently, had some nice touch on some deep throws. So for whatever it's worth, man, we just like to pass this along.
Well, it should be, he's starting to get more in depth in the offense. He saw that when he goes out there and runs the offense, that it can really work. It's only going to make him a better player because he sees it working. You're going to be more invested in it. Not to say that he wasn't, but once you see that and you see it working, it's going to give you a little more oomph to go out there and make sure that you're better at what you're doing, man. So, I love it, man. I love the fact that he's going to put the work in, number one, but he sees it working, number two. Others around us see him also.
Yeah, exactly.
Who said something this time?
What happened?
John Dickerson, D Guns, Donnell Pumphrey.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you.
Okay.
So we're awaiting word later on what happens with the cuts. Look, there appears to be some obvious ones, like Devin Allen. That would feel like an early cut, right?
Yes, Devin Allen. They got to get rid of some of these corners, man.
There's a lot of corners.
Yeah, dang, what is going on?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Tay Goins, Josh Jobe, Jimmy Moreland, Josh Blackwell.
Hey, with all these players, banged up, you don't want to give away too many right now.
You know what? That's a great point, Derek. You're down a lot of bodies right now.
Especially the running back position.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, we're probably going to see a lot of Huntley again.
Humphrey.
Yeah, Humphrey on the brain.
Right. Huntley and Brooks.
Yeah.
And DeAndre Torrey, where'd he come from?
Yeah. But I'm saying, if Gainwell's not right.
Sproles. Gee, now you got me doing it.
You want to get Boston Scott a lot of touches here in this?
I don't know if you want to get him banged up now.
We saw Sanders for one series.
Yep.
Do we see him for a series or two?
Wow. Hell no. You won't see him until September 11th.
Then you're looking at a lot of Huntley and Brooks.
Yep, Huntley and Brooks. It's that's the nature of the beast. And they got to take it. They got to take it as such. I am interviewing for 31 other teams.
Sure.
Let me get my tape out there, especially in these practices, these dual practices. That means that they're going to be out there, and that other coaching staff is going to see what they're doing. I'm going to try to go out there and ball. Yeah. Make sure that I ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All right, let's dig into this thing. We touched on the safety concern that we all have. Let's go a little further with this. So we have Sanders right now. You have Scott, you have Gainwell, which are the locks. Is there a fourth? Is there going to be a fourth? And is the fourth on the roster? Is it someone they grab who gets cut from another team, a veteran, et cetera?
You know that's going to happen. You know that's going to happen.
You say they're gonna bypass Huntley? You think they'll give up on him?
It's not that they're going to give up on him. It's just too hard to keep him on the roster.
He's the best kick returner.
I know he's the best kick returner, but that's why they're trying to work Britton Covey in.
Wow.
So I mean, it is still they're still going to be able to put Jalen Reagor back there.
Who?
Jalen Reagor's gonna make the team. I don't know
Reagor is making the team, Gunner.
Yes, he's been on it though. He has been on it. He has been saying for the longest time that he's not gonna make it. He's stuck to his gun. Yeah, he's stuck to his gun.
He hasn't backed down. He has not backed down. I just thought,
but if you keep COVID,
ads off second half, man, that's not making the team.
Stu Vision, look, Stu Vision, man.
What?
D-Gun probably suggested Marcus Smith too.
What did he say?
You suggested Marcus
No,
Smith
bro. No.
to the ownership.
No.
Yeah, you told him to come.
Oh, really? Really?
I told you guys the Marcus Smith story, right? During draft night?
No.
All right. So the Eagles are doing construction on the what's the upper level they have there? It's really beautiful now. There's like Barca loungers, and you know where I'm talking about at the link. It's just amazing, that section. Anyway, that's where we used to do the draft show. Okay, I'm doing a draft show live that night, and it's me and Hollis Thomas. So they move us into the Eagles locker room to do the show. So we're in the Eagles locker room at the link, and they allowed fan access. Like a certain select fans would be in there. So let's say there's 35 people in there with us right near where our radio setup is. So you remember you're going through that whole thing, and I think it was the year with Johnny Manziel. Remember, there's some thought maybe the Eagles grabbed him. Everything that was going down that year, right. Okay? And we're waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally the Eagles make their pick, and it's Marcus Smith. And I swear to God, the whole collective, and I mean me and Hollis too, we're all like, who? Like no one. There wasn't anybody even pretending like they knew who Marcus Smith was when the Eagles made that pick. I am not kidding you, man. And I pride myself on somewhat being prepared for these moments. I was even like, yeah, hang on. I know who he is. Like trying to look it up in his face. Like, I had nothing. Hollis didn't even hide it. He's like, who? Who the hell's that?
Look, Ray Diddy was like, this can't be the same Marcus. I looked up.
Ray's going like this. Hold on.
Right. He's like, this can't be the same Marcus.
Wrong for that. You're wrong.
He said, I had him for a late third, fourth round grade. I'm like, same thing with J-Jaw.
Yeah.
He said, JJ Arcega-Whiteside?
In the second round.
I know he's a Stanford kid.
Yeah,
I know he's a Stanford kid. I said, you know anything else about him? No, he's a Stanford kid. I said, I actually did a game for him. I did a college football game inside the truck,
right,
for him because he was playing with the running back for the Panthers. What's his name?
Oh,
he played with him, and we were actually doing a game, a Stanford game.
McCaffrey.
Yeah, McCaffrey. So we were there. The rest of the reason why ESPN did the game, because of McCaffrey was just balling out of control.
Right.
And he and Love was just ripping it up. And it just so happened that he was on the squad and he caught a touchdown. I'm like, I remember him scoring a touchdown, but I don't remember anything else. I just remember the two running backs. I don't remember him necessarily. Yeah. And they drafted. I'm like, all right. But then they were talking about some kid that they were going to it was either him or the kid that went to Indianapolis. I'm like, I still don't know either one of those kids.
Yeah, there were some rough stretches there, man. I mean, yeah, that was bad. That was a bad one. So it makes you appreciate what the last couple of years have been.
Right, no question about that.
It really does. So let's look at it. I mean, think about the three primary picks, the first three picks. You go Jordan Davis, Juergens, and Nakobe Dean. Now, Juergens, you have to almost put an asterisk next to because some of it depends on injuries, right? And we saw, nice showing of certainly in the first preseason game. But may not play, and that's okay. It's not a bad thing. I mean, that's just the way it is. How high should the expectations be for these guys? How high should it be for Jordan Davis? How high should it be for Nakobe Dean? Because think about it. Nakobe Dean at least is stepping into a good linebacking room, man. And it's a defense that's going to be, I think, complex to an extent because they're going to be very multiple with fronts and some of the other things you're doing. I think the kid's, by all accounts, brilliant. And he's just a genius, and his football IQ is off the charts. But that's a lot for anybody to be dumped into. And then you go Jordan Davis, who didn't play a ton necessarily at Georgia. So I guess my question is, of those three guys, how big is the expectation for them going into this season for you?
I'll go ahead, Derek. I'll let you go first.
Well, the impact starts with they played for, historically, one of the greatest college football defenses in the history of college football, number one.
Very true. But
number two, and most importantly, is that they don't have to come in here and be the man.
Yep.
See, they have Pro Bowl players, they have proven players in front of them. When you talk about two players of that caliber, normally they end up going to teams that are desolate of talent and are just plugging and playing every high-profile type of player they can get in there, and hopefully they're rebuilding slowly from the ground up around this kind of nucleus. But with these guys, you got two Pro Bowlers in front of them. You have already a proven player in Milton Williams in his second year in front of him as well, with Jordan Davis. With Nakobe Dean, you got a sack master on one side. You got a proven in Kazir White. You've got a rocker Gibraltar in TJ Edwards. So some of that pressure is taken off of you, that you have more room to make mistakes and grow at a little bit slower pace. You know, you don't have to go in there and play 80, 90% of the snaps. If you play 30, 40, 50% of the snaps your rookie year, that's okay, because that means everybody in front of you is doing their job, so they're not looking at you and labeling you as a bust already. Right. So I like the fact that they're in a situation where they can ease into their roles. I mean, Jordan Davis played, 38, 39% of the snaps at Georgia. Yep. So you imagine being the 13th player taken in the draft and coming in here and only playing 39% if he was desperately needed. That wouldn't play well in Philadelphia. We know how Philadelphia thinks. But the fact that you got big-time money, Pro Bowl players in front of you, plus a proven young player, you know, go ahead, Jordan, take your time. We saw samples of what you can do. Whenever you get in, we know you can get the job. Nakobe, we know you got a lot to learn. You know, we know you were born to play this game. You got a lot to learn, but you got 3 or 4 guys in front of you that are going to get their snaps as well. So, you know, I like the situation they're in. Because they can grow. Now, I'm hoping their growth is at a more accelerated rate, just in case this team gets hit by the injury bug, like a lot of teams will. And we've seen the Eagles get hit by the bug 2 or 3 consecutive years in a row after that Super Bowl year. So I like where they are right now, and I just want to see them continue to make steady progress.
That's fair. That's fair. How about you, Bear?
I know they did bring Davis in to play a lot, you know, because he just fits in what they want to do as far as multiple fronts. We know that Hargrave, he can play that nose, head up, zero technique on the center. We know what he does because he did it when he was in Pittsburgh. But he's a lot different player now. So, you know, the chance of him being, you know, great at that right now, I can't see it. But he does have the ability to do it. When you bring in Davis can do that and be very, very good at it. So he just fits in the schematics of what Gannon wants to do defensively and run multiple fronts. You put him head up on that nose, and you want to run a 50 front where you have him on the nose, and then you have Fletcher Cox and Hargraves on the guards, and then you have Reddick on the outside, and you maybe Brandon Graham on the other side. That's a great run stopping front, and you can pass rush from that front because you can run all kind of games with it. So he just fits in perfectly of him playing now. So he's ready to play now. He's going to fit in for a snap count of probably 20 snaps a game, even with the talent that you have there. Yeah. Even with the talent you have there, he'll fit in for about 20 snaps a game.
That's about 30%.
And keep in mind, while you're on that note, Barrett, I mean, you very likely could be without Cox and Hargrave next year. Now, I very likely might be strong, but they could both be gone. It's a possibility, which Absolutely. Then you see his snaps increase big time next season.
Absolutely. So, you know, and with those guys on 1-year deals, proven deals, they're going to be wanting to play a lot of the snaps and play very well at those snaps simply because they're interviewing for other teams. They want to, want everybody to see them. So they're going to play they want to play a huge, bulk of the snaps as they go forward. So they're going to give everything they got, especially Fletch. Fletch wants that deal. So he's going to go out there and ball and get their money. When you look at, all right, I stay on defense side. You look at Dean. Dean's in a perfect place where he can see exactly what Gannon's trying to do for him. He's got a guy in front of him right now who did it the hard way. You know what I'm saying? Elbow grease and just hard work. And you can't diminish how hard TJ Edwards has worked to get to where he is right now, and he's not going to relinquish that. Easily. So it also gives Dean a chance to go out there and play the will linebacker, maybe a little Sam linebacker.
Is he capable of handling all three positions?
I know he can handle the mic, and I know he can handle the will. Sam's a little harder because Sam's expectation is Sam is to be not just a run stopper, to hold the edge, but you also have to go out there and rush the passer at times. So,
for an undersized guy, that might be at this level, it might be more of a challenge.
Very, very. That'll be more than a challenge. It'll be very hard for him to go out there and be wrestling around with big offensive linemen and tight ends.
Yep.
So he can play the will, which is Kazir White, right? I mean, Kazir, White right now. He's playing Matt. He just had the pick. Mm-hmm. So the chances of him getting on the field in front of TJ and White is just it's a hard feat to do.
Yeah, I guess what the way you look at it is with all three, it's not the worst. It's not necessarily a reflection on them if they're not getting a lot of time. It's a good problem to have. It means the Eagles have some good players in front of them.
But then you go, yeah, you're absolutely right. That means that this team is deep and they're really, really good players at those positions. I mean, just like Derek said, a Pro Bowler at the defensive tackle position, 2 Pro Bowlers at the defensive tackle position. And then, at center, when you talk about Cam Jurgens played his ass off this last game.
Yep.
He balled out of control. He showed exactly why Jason Kelce loved him and why he didn't mind drafting him in the second round. He's worth every single bit of that draft, getting drafted right there, because he is no doubt right now the best center in the draft, even better than the kid, that got drafted in front of him.
Kid from with Linderbaum.
Yeah, Linderbaum. Yeah. I think he's with the Ravens right now. Yeah, with the Ravens.
Yeah,
he's better than Linderbaum. But what also helps him here is having the best offensive line coach in the world.
Right.
Coaching him up, number one, but then understanding that that coach wants him also to be a multi-dimensional player, not just playing center, but also playing guard. So somebody goes down to guard. I say he goes in even before Sewell Payton at the guard position. He's that good. He has that much versatility, and he's that good of a player. So yeah, I mean he's gonna play this year. He's gonna play a lot this year, not just the center position, because we know Kelce is a warrior. He's gonna play a lot. But I believe that if Kelce does go down, it's not gonna like it was with Nate Herbig went in against the Giants, and then they started getting his back kicked in, and they had to go.
Right.
Kelce had to go back out there. I think if he does go out, he'll feel very comfortable leaving Cam Jurgens in there and let him battle it out, as opposed to having to go back in, to help him out.
Yeah, makes sense. I think it's fascinating because I really believe that all three of the picks are legit, but we may not get huge contributions from them, and that's okay.
That's all right.
Yeah,
that's all right.
I think it's not quite the same analogy, but I just think back to the day when they drafted Lito and Sheldon, right? They still had Troy and Bobby here. You kind of knew it was a pick for the future, and they didn't get on the field a ton right away, but you knew these guys could play, and eventually they stepped right in there, man. And you got to always kind of be looking to help yourself right away, but as a GM, you got to be looking down the line too. And I think certainly with the Jurgens pick, but I think they looked at Dean and they said unbelievable value in the third round. They looked at Jurgens saying this is the heir apparent to Kelce, and they looked at Davis as this dude can have an impact now and going forward because we know what the situation is with our defensive line.
Exactly.
The only concern with Davis is if you lose both Hargrave and Fletcher after this season, this kid better be ready to play next year 65-70% of the snaps instead of 30-35% of the snaps.
Yep.
Right.
Because that's when you have to justify taking him that high. the ceiling is wide open for this young man in terms of what we think he could be for long term in the National Football League as a dominant nose tackle in this game. Mm-hmm. He could be the next Ndamukong Suh, to be honest with you. But he's got to get his body and his mind ready for that. He can't come in here next year. If the cupboard's bare next year, it is him and Milton Williams as the frontline guys instead of the second-tier guys. He'd better be ready to hold up his end. And if that means losing X amount of weight to do so and working off season on nothing but stamina, then so be it.
Yeah, I think that I agree with you, Derek. And the only way the good thing is he seems to have the right mindset. Like, I think he understands that I got to be in shape. This is different than college. By all accounts, Barrett, you've probably been around him more than I have, certainly. But he seems like a really good kid.
Yes,
Jordan
he
Davis,
is.
and he gets it.
Yes,
so,
he does get it. He does get it. But I read somewhere that he's creeping right around about 340 to 345, but he needs to be under 340.
They wanted him between. He said between 345 and 335 is what he said they wanted him at.
Okay, well they want him, probably around 340, 335. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So we don't need him creeping up anymore.
No, we don't. All right. So when we come back, I think really interesting because Shane Steichen, when he met with the media today, mentioned, I don't want to take away Jalen Hurts' superpowers, meaning I don't want to take away his legs and his athleticism. We're going to look at the balance between improving as a passer, getting good enough in the pocket versus let's not take away what this guy does that a lot of other quarterbacks in the NFL can't do. So we're going to dive into that topic when we get back. 1:30, Ben Davis is going to join us. 2:00. We got our NFL segment. We're going to dive into a bunch of stuff with that. Good open talk stuff too. So you don't want to go anywhere. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. We are Sports Take. Let's talk a little bit about Pro Action Restoration. Yes, you see that phone number. You see that email address. Write it down because they are key if you have these issues. If you get any kind of flooding in your house, if you have a fire, God forbid, if you have mold damage, smoke damage, they are on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist you. I've gone through it. I had it happen at my parents' house, and they got there quickly. They cleaned up what was a real mess. They were clean. The price was reasonable, and the crew was awesome. They are licensed, bonded, fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action will work in conjunction also with your insurance company. Keep that in mind. Again, it could be a number of things: water, fire, smoke damage, mold remediation, you name it, they can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com, proactionrestoration.com.